Hey, I'm Adam Jusko from ProudMoney.com, and in this video I'm going to share with you all of my credit card credit lines. Well, I'm not technically going to share them with you, you don't get to use them, but I'm going to share with you what they are, how high they are, and some other details about them as well. But before I do that, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already, and if you have already, I thank you for doing so. So many times when I post videos about credit cards and credit lines and credit scores, people ask me, how many credit cards do you have? What are your credit lines? What is your credit score? All those sorts of things. People want to know who is doing the talking, what their own experiences are, and then of course you want to hear about the experiences of other people who are sort of in the community around these videos as well. So in this video I'm going to tell you about the credit lines I actually have open. I'm not going to give you every single detail about them because I don't want that much of my personal information out there for anyone that might come across it on YouTube, but I am going to give you sort of the high points, the overall numbers, and some details as well. All the cards I'm going to talk about here are bank credit cards. I may have a couple of store credit cards open that I opened for some initial discount somewhere along the way, but I'm not really sure. If I do, I don't even know where those cards are. They're off in a drawer somewhere, never to be used again. They've probably expired or are soon to expire. So their credit lines would be pretty insignificant anyway in comparison to the rest of the cards I have. So anyway, these are all bank credit cards, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover cards, even though a couple of them are affiliated with stores such as the Amazon Visa. They are all cards that could be used widely versus just at one particular store chain. Okay, so I have 12 bank credit cards open right now. I probably only use about 6 or 7 of those cards on any regular basis. Some of them I pull out every so often, but between those 12 cards, I have total credit lines of $162,400 across 12 credit cards. So that is an awfully large number. It is an average of over $13,000 per credit card. The highest credit line on any of those credit cards is $30,000. The lowest credit line on any of those cards is $3,600. 2 of those credit cards have credit lines over $20,000. 7 of them have credit lines between $10,000 and $20,000, and 3 of them have credit lines under $10,000. Now those 12 credit cards come from 7 different credit card issuers. Which one of them has given me the most over all the cards I have with them? Easily Chase, giving me very high credit lines on all the credit cards that I have with them. All right, some thoughts on those numbers. First of all, I am old. I have a very long credit history. I'm 85 years old. I'm not actually 85 years old. Anyway, I do have a long credit history though, and so I have been able to build up those credit lines over a very long period of time. So if you're fairly young, you're not going to get $160,000 in credit lines unless you open, 160 cards or something like that. So it does take time to build up to those levels if that is something that is important to you. I actually had no idea what my credit lines were until I actually went through the exercise today of actually going online and looking at what all the credit limits were that I had. So it's really not an important thing, but it is something that you're thinking about, and why yours is so much different. It's because I'm old and got a long track record. One of the things I often talk about when we're talking about credit scores is credit utilization, and how if you want to really keep your credit score high, you don't want to use too much of your available credit. So that's an easy thing for me to say, right? Because if I say, oh, you should stay under 10%, or even if you should stay under 30%, if I stay under 10%, that only means that I have to stay under $16,000 per month. I'm not putting $16,000 onto my credit cards every month. So if you have a ton of available credit, it's easy advice to take. I understand that if you have a lot less available credit, staying under 10% is not so easy. Staying under 30% may not even be easy. So those goals are a lot more difficult when your credit lines aren't very large yet. Now, if I left the house today and said I am going to spend all $162,400 of that available credit, there is absolutely no way that I would blow through all of that before the credit card companies started shutting me down. If I was very strategic about it, maybe I could put sizable charges on with each issuer before they kind of started to notice the pattern, but there is no way that you are suddenly going to be able to use all of your credit when you have as much credit as I do, because once you go outside of your normal spending patterns, that's when you kind of are, hitting the tripwires with the various issuers. And if you spend way beyond what you have spent, at some point they're just going to say, whoa, we're going to put a little stop to this and give you a call, and you let us know what's going on here so that we can make sure that somebody else is not stealing from you, or we can make sure that you have not suddenly gotten yourself into a place where you're, I don't know, going on the run and you need to get as much cash or goods as possible in a very short time. So even if you have very high available credit, you really can't even use all that available credit unless you have gone to the trouble to, talk to your credit card issuers and say, I'm going to use a lot of this and here is why, and they sort of sign off on it. Because if you just go out and try to use it all, they are going to shut you down when it goes far beyond what your normal spending patterns are. Now, it seems ridiculous to give me that much credit, right? Especially if they aren't going to let me just go out and use it whenever I feel like it without putting a stop to it. So why did they do it? Why did they give me these credit lines that are so high? Well, part of the reason is they want me to use more of the credit lines that I have. So there's a little bit of a mental game going on there. So if somebody's giving me a $30,000 credit line, they don't want me to use $30,000 of that credit line, but they know that if they gave me a credit line that was maybe $7,000, my mindset's going to be a little bit different in terms of how much I have to play with than if I have a $30,000 credit line. So just, however our human minds work, when we have more to play with, we're going to play with more of it. So that means we're probably going to spend more on those cards, and we're probably going to carry higher balances if we are someone that is in the habit of doing that. So that's why those credit lines get so high, especially after you've really established credit over a long period of time. It's not because they don't want you to, because they want you to use all that credit. It's because they know you'll use more of it if it's available to you. Final point I'll make, I have not asked for a credit line increase on any of the cards that I have talked about. In fact, I'm not sure if I've ever asked for a credit line increase at all. So if you're someone who is younger and you're trying to build up your credit and you're thinking a lot about these credit line increases, yeah, it can make sense to ask for them if for some reason you are in a hurry to build them up. But over time, they are going to happen, especially as your income grows. That is going to be part of the equation too. And so those credit lines will go up, both on the cards that you already have. You will probably get some automatic credit line increases. And when you get new cards, they're going to be for higher credit limits when you start those cards, once you have more of a track record, and if you have a little more income than maybe you had when you were 18 or 21 or 24 or whatever the case may be. So when I show you all these numbers, they might seem like crazy high amounts compared to where you're at, but that is over a long period of time. Like I said earlier, I'm 97 years old. All right, I'm not 97 years old, even though my kids might tell you differently. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, other things that would go on this fourth finger, put them in the comments section below and I will respond to them probably, and maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, I thank you for watching, and as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. Thanks for watching. Bye.